All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
All right. What is up, everybody? It is Wednesday night. We're back with another episode of ASAP After Dark with the usual crew. We got the Sports Sensei back with us. We have Ron. For whatever reason, he has decided to limp with Broncos country. They don't really ride. They limp at this point. Then we have a special guest with us as well. We have Chris Gonzalez, a.k.a. Gonzo. Welcome to the show, good sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so we'll get started with our first topic that we got to talk about. The team on Ron's head, literally on his mind at the current moment. Wilson, and the Denver Broncos fall to the Chargers in a very ugly game where Russ started out really good in the first half. And then he saw his man Russell Westbrook out in L.A. and said, I need to follow this man's game plan in the second half. And
Chill out, Tony. Chill out.
We'll talk about that a little bit later in the NBA season part. But, Ron, since you literally have them on your mind, who's to blame for the Broncos' struggles? They are 2-4 right now, under living expectations, and they have a top 5 defense in the league. Every statistical category, they are either 4th or better in the league right now. So who's to blame, Ron? Is it your man Russ? Is it Hackett? Who's to blame, buddy?
Wow. Wow. I will first admit, before the season started, I bought into the hype that, wait, what about the Broncos? This could be Russ's breakout. We can talk about the weapons that the Broncos have, not on defense, Tony, on offense, wide receivers, running backs, all of that. But it has not worked, and they like struggle to score a touchdown a game. Of course, we can blame Hackett. Hackett can't hack it. But the biggest thing that I'm hearing is that they are putting Russ in situations that he's not, formally used to. He's scramble, get out of pocket, and make something happen. That hasn't been their offense. They've had the traditional offense. I don't know if it's because he wants it or because Hackett wants it that way, but it's drop back, efficient, make a quick pass, do something, and that's not how he functions, and that their offense hasn't been functioning. I don't know if they'll switch it up. There's this thing called play action that they can do to, get him scrambled and open. And I have to blame Hackett because Russ, he's in his early 30s. He should not be this bad. I know he's had a shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm. Shoulder and finger. Because if you remember the thumb or the index finger last year really hurt him.
Regardless, I don't think it should affect his performance that the Broncos are struggling like this. Everybody's injured, Tony.
Yeah. And Ron, I will say, I know a few other people didn't buy into it. I think a majority of people bought into it, though, because when you looked at Denver's roster from top to bottom, the only position they were really missing was the quarterback. They couldn't get it figured out. So it's like, okay, well, when they hired Hackett, I think they had the biggest intention, because if you think about it, this system is really more tailored to a pocket passer like Rodgers. Whereas Russ, like you said, he's used to bootlegs. He's used to having a scramble, roll out, throw a lot of deep bombs, and they're not really doing that as much. So it is kind of odd that not only can Russ not really, find himself at least through the entirety of a game, but that, they're also extremely undisciplined. Like, they're one of the most penalized teams in the entire league. I think they said the difference between the amount of penalty yards that they had and the total amount of passing yards that they had was 10. Like, they had 10 more passing yards than they did penalty yards, which is bad.
Gonzo, we keep getting back to coaching. That sounds like coaching to me, Tony.
It does. It does. Sensei, what's your take? Because, I mean, y'all know how I feel about old Karen Rodgers up in Green Bay. And I personally immediately hated this hire that Denver got when they immediately hired Nathaniel Hackett. I was like, that he's never been a proven head coach. And how much was he really calling the plays in Green Bay when you A, have Matt LaFleur, and you B, have Aaron Rodgers? You're literally like the third string tight end. Like, yeah, you're getting reps, but you're not really doing much. So, do you feel kind of the same way? Do you think it's Hackett? Do you think it's Russ, or do you think it's a little bit of both?
I'm gonna go a combination of both. I think it's definitely Hackett. Like you said, Tony, he hasn't proven himself to be a guy that can go out and lead your team to critical wins or lead them in the playoffs or eventually to the Super Bowl. Like, he's never been that kind of coach. I didn't understand the hire from the gate when they first announced that he was going to be the coach. I didn't understand it from then. I do think that they gave Russ all that money prematurely. I think that they should have gave him maybe a little bit of a lesser deal, and they could have got a couple more pieces to help out that Broncos team. I will say that I do think that injuries are playing a part, but right now, Russ just hasn't looked good. Like, let's keep it, and I like Russ. He hasn't looked like the Russ that we've seen in Seattle for so many years. I don't know. I won't go as far as saying that he's taken a step back, but he definitely does not look like the Russ of old. Like I said, the Seahawks Russ, the Russ that Broncos country was expecting to get. I'm sorry. He doesn't look like that guy right now. But in his defense, again, I think he still has a crappy O line, because I mean, his last couple years with the Seahawks, he didn't have a good O line. He doesn't have a good O line now, so I think that definitely plays a part in that as well. But he's got to play better. Like, that's just the bottom line. He has to play better. I mean, I think even outstanding play can overcome suspect coaching, because as you stated, Tony, like, Nathaniel Hackett was coaching Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers still was Aaron Rodgers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he still was able to do what Aaron Rodgers does. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to do that, because he has the receivers to throw to. He has the running game. He has the defense. He got to get it together. He just has to play better, man. He has to play better.
Yeah. And before we get Gonzo's take on it, I thought of something earlier that kind of made me laugh. How many of y'all watched Ghost Rider, like with Nicolas Cage? Like, you remember at the very end of the movie where it's him and Sam Elliott, and they're getting, and Sam whistles for the horse, and it comes up, and he asks him if he can ride, if he can keep up, and then the very last thing that you see before they go off on their journey is Nicolas Cage saying, let's ride. It's kind of how I feel, Russ is at this point. Everything's on fire. He said, let's ride. And then he just tries to drive off the flaming bike in the night. But Gonzo, for you, I got to ask. So hypothetically, let's say that they fire Hackett, whether that's in the middle of the season, at the end of the season, whichever. Who do you think they would potentially bring as a head coach? Because a lot of the argument now is it's same old Russ in a new system. Well, if you fire Hackett and you bring in somebody new, he's going to have to learn a whole new system again. He's going to be 1 year older. Your players are going to be 1 year older, and you may or may not have the players that you still have today, albeit through free agency, contract signings, retirement, whatever. So do you think they should still try to stick it out with Hackett? Do you think, Elway, one of them, should come out and say, look, Nate, you gotta change your game plan because this is not working?
I think Hackett's going to be lucky to make it through this season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The way they're playing because of expectations. Well, I ain't gonna blame it all on Hackett either. I agree with Sensei. Some of it's Russ because Russ used to be the best deep thrower in the league, and he's missed when they do go down the field. He hasn't been good on his deep balls at all this year. I don't know if there's something still with the shoulder or.
So real
not
quick,
the
Johns,
same.
though, I know Jerry Judy went out like early week 1, week 2. Has he been back?
He played last game.
Yeah.
Okay, so they still got Judy, Sutton. They got the crew.
and Tim Patrick, but I have heard reports that apparently Jerry Judy is not the most disciplined of wide receivers, which I mean I get it. He comes from outside of quarterback position. He comes from one of the best colleges as far as developing, great players at different positions. He was highly touted out of college, came in, he's still a great young wide receiver, but he's a little cocky, he's a little bit undisciplined because he knows he's the best. So do you think that plays a factor into it? Because Russ ain't like Brady. Russ isn't like Manning. He's not going to be up in your face. He's not going to be like, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to fix this. This is what needs to happen. So you think
I'm going to throw tablets.
exactly right? So do you think that like kind of plays a factor too? Because I mean, really, it seems like this Broncos team they're looking for somebody to be like to take charge. Basically, Hackett's not doing it. Wilson's not doing it. I don't know if y'all saw the interview with Melvin Gordon. They're asking him like, what happened? He's like, I honestly don't know. I don't know. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but I don't know. It's like, so what does that tell you about how poorly this team is being run right now?
It's accountability.
Yeah, just real quick. Gonzo, let me know if you disagree. I feel like Russell Wilson, a Super Bowl quarterback, can run this team with an intermediate head coach. If I'm the Broncos, I would let Hackett go after maybe a week or two. I got to see what happens. But if I don't see a performance increase, like I don't know, because the Broncos, the way they paid him, they need to be successful, and they have no reason not to be. What rank is their defense?
They're top 5 and they're top 4 in every single statistical category.
Despite the fact that they're not scoring, their opponents aren't scoring either. Something has to hack it. And their last game, it came down to a couple seconds left, and I'm pretty sure they decided to go for it on 4th instead of kick the field goal would have won the game.
Yeah. So real quick from all of you, does anybody see Denver at least making the playoffs? I think it's pretty safe to say we don't think they're going to win the division, but do you think they're at least going to be able to make a wild card?
I can see them being a wild card.
Think so?
I think if they get some pieces back, they can definitely be a wild card at least. At the very least, I could definitely see them being a wild card.
Everything is tight.
Okay. What about you, Gonzo? Do you see them making the playoffs or no?
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think because you got so many teams in the AFC, I think it's going to be hard for them to get that wild card spot.
That was kind of my thought, because you got to think you're going to have obviously the 4 division winners, whoever they're going to be, and now
we can talk about the AFC East, Tony, because they got 3 teams.
Exactly. So you've got the Bills. If Bills are probably going to be either the 1 or the 2 seed, more than likely
1.
Yeah, more than likely 1. You got the Dolphins that are right there. They just have to get their quarterback situation. You have the Jets, who, hey, the Zach Wilson,
they're 50 right now.
Yeah, the MILF Hunter, he's bringing them back. And then, I mean, the Patriots are still there because they're the Patriots. Love them or hate them.
Can I rant on the Patriots really quick?
By all means, Ron, go for it, sir.
I'm a huge bettor. And I saw Bill Belichick going into Cleveland this past weekend. Yeah, Gonzo, I got to get on the betting show. And I'm like, one of my cardinal rules is we do not bet against GOATs. And I'm like, in my head, Bill Belichick is going to go into Cleveland and handle his business. This is ex-team, zada. To see what they actually did, putting up 40 points with a 3rd-string quarterback, now we got to fall in love with Zappy. But the thing I love about Bill when he's dealing with these teams, if you're a one-trick pony, you're done. The Cleveland Browns, we love to run the ball. Bill's like, okay, let's see what else you can do.
Yeah.
He's going to take it away. It's only like the Bills, the Chiefs. That's probably it. That's his only. Any team, most teams right now are one-trick ponies, especially in the AFC East. Help me if I'm wrong. If you guys can bring up another team that can do more than one or two things.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Patriots are going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm positive.
And like you said, that's just the AFC East. You'll have somebody from the AFC South. You might have a second team. More likely, we probably figure it'll either be the Titans, maybe the Colts, possibly even the Jags. They're Jags can make a turnaround.
The Colts are definitely going to be in the playoffs, right, Gonzo?
Yeah, we're gonna make the playoffs this year.
Then you've got the AFC North. You still have Cincinnati and Baltimore up there, despite their flaw. Heck, Pittsburgh will probably get a couple shocking wins like they did against Tampa Bay. Cleveland, who knows? Maybe once Deshaun gets in there, they get a couple massages. Maybe this be a different Cleveland team.
All right, Tony. Now, see,
two shows in a row.
You acting up. You acting up. We gotta get Tony out of here. Tony acting up now. He acting up, but I don't like it.
And then of course you got the AFC West. You still got the Chiefs. You got the Chargers, Broncos, or maybe, and then we'll actually get this move into our next topic. The Raiders.
Oh, man.
So the Raiders obviously have also been a super big disappointment. Like, they've been in pretty much every single game that they've played in. They choked a lead up against Arizona. They had the Chiefs for like the first half of that Monday night game. It's like, man, this Chiefs, like, maybe the Raiders have finally got it turned around, and they're like 1-5. So, kind of really the same question as the Broncos. You have the quarterback, you have an all-pro, one of the best wide receivers, if not the best, in Adams. You have Josh Jacobs, Renfro, Darren Waller. You have stars on the defense. Now, the defense is still pretty god-awful, but you have Max Crosby, you have Chandler Jones. So, who do you think would be more on the hot seat as it sits right now? Do you think McDaniels or do you think Hackett? Because both have proven that they're not exactly the greatest head coaches.
That's a good question.
I'd fire them both. I mean, we know McDaniels' history. Like, it doesn't. We don't have to talk about that long ago. Okay, we have to blame you.
Yeah. I think McDaniels might get fired before Hackett if they keep losing.
I think so too. It's going to sound bad. I don't know if McDaniels, honestly, depending on what their record is, if they make it to the bye week of how they've been, to be honest with you.
And when McDaniels was named the Colts coach for half a day, I was so happy when he left and decided he didn't want to come to the Colts. He's not a head coach. He's a great coordinator, but he's not a head coach.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know if Frank Reich is any damn better, so it don't matter right now.
Okay, so this is the Raiders' next few games to give you guys an idea of what their upcoming schedule is. So they host the Texans, they go to New Orleans, they go to Jacksonville, they host the Colts, then they go to Denver, they go to Seattle, they host the Chargers, they go to LA to face the Rams, then they host the Patriots, then they go to Pittsburgh, and then they finish out the year hosting San Francisco and Kansas City. So me personally looking at it, I see 1, 2, 5, 6 wins out of that stretch of games. But that's me.
So you think the Raiders are going to make the playoffs?
No, I think they're going to finish 7-10, and they
7-10?
Miss the playoffs very, very wholeheartedly.
I can support that.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
What about you, Sensei? Do you think the Raiders finish strong? Do you think they finish pretty bad? I think everybody kind of agrees 7-10, but they missed the playoffs.
I think the same thing. I think 7-10, they missed the playoffs. they're just a mess, and it's a shame because they spent all that money going to Vegas. They got this crazy, super nice stadium, just for them to suck since they've been there. Like they've sucked since they've been there, and it's going to continue. Like this year, they're going to continue to suck. Like it's terrible. But yeah, I say 7-10, and they miss the playoffs.
You know, they can only play 2 quarters of a game. They'll get a lead in the first half and then blow it in the second half.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. They've only been able to put like a half of football together.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move off of that and we'll move on to probably our most controversial topic. I know.
Why is Jim Irsay even talking? He has enough skeletons in his closet. He don't need to be talking.
I saw that and I was like, why? Why is this a thing?
Yeah.
So Jim Irsay came out because of this whole Dan Snyder thing, which there's more context to that, but I'll explain here in a second. So there's supposedly a report came out from ESPN that Dan Snyder has all this dirt on all 31 NFL owners and the commissioner Roger Goodell, supposedly.
And he's going to use it against him.
That he's going to use against him. Exactly. Now, so Dan Snyder responded to this. It took him a couple days, but he finally decided to respond. I think he did that in the smartest way that he could. He's like, wait a minute, let me think about what I'm going to say before I just jump into this. So this is the letter that he sent to the teams. And for our audience who may or may not be able to see this, dear blank, because he sent this to every NFL owner, GM, and I believe to Goodell as well. It says, I hope that you and your family are doing well. I would like to address a recent ESPN article that contains false and malicious statements about the Washington Commanders, our management team, and me and my family. It is particularly shameful for ESPN to diminish the very real accomplishments of our president, Jason Wright, who ESPN alleges was placed at the Commanders by the league and has no power to make real change. I know you know this to be false. Unfortunately, ESPN ignored our efforts to correct the many falsehoods in their article before its publication. There is one allegation in the ESPN article that I feel is important to address immediately. The article cited unnamed sources who said they've been told that Snyder instructed his law firms to hire private investigators to look into their owners and Commissioner Goodell. This is patently false and intended to erode the trust and goodwill between owners that I take quite seriously. I have never hired any private investigator to look into any owner or the commissioner, and I have never instructed or authorized my lawyers to hire any private investigator on my behalf for any such purpose, and I never would. While we are all fierce competitors on the field, we have a part of this organization because we love football, our teams, and our fans. Having the privilege to own a franchise in America's sports is something I know none of us take for granted. Falsehoods and lies being spread about any of our organizations hurt our league, our players, and our fans, and we simply cannot let them go unchallenged. Thank you for taking the time to read this. If you have any questions, Tanya and I are always available to answer them, and we look forward to discussing these issues with you at the appropriate time. So this is pretty well thought out. He went out of his way to make sure that this comes out. However, I don't necessarily think this is completely true because you got to think about it. These are 32 of the most powerful men in the entire world, with the exception of the new owner of the Denver Broncos, which they, probably don't know as well because he's brand new to the party. Everybody else they've known for probably like 15 plus years. These owners know the team. They have dirt on each other. Like that's pretty much a very easily given thing. So this is one of those to me where there's smoke, there's fire. Sensei, to you, to kind of address Jim Irsay's comments of even if the league gets rid of Dan Snyder, that it wouldn't change anything for the league. Do you think this is true? Because I mean, at least to me, I kind of hear that and I'm like, well, I don't think he's necessarily wrong because the owners aren't. I don't think the owners are going to change. I don't think the whole stigma behind them being, basically the upper elites that control everything. I don't think that's going to change. So, they can remove him for like good publicity, good PR, but that's really about it. Do you feel the same way? Do you think it would make a difference?
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. I think if you remove him, it let's be honest, like the NFL owners as an entity, they are a family. They are connected. They are all friends. You know, they hang out, they share notes. They probably share other things that we can't mention on this show, but they are a fraternity, if you want to be honest. Like that's just the honest to God truth. So I don't think it necessarily changes anything. However, I think Dan Snyder has put himself in an interesting position, because if they decide to remove him and get rid of him, and he decides to talk, and he decides to disclose the information that he says that he has on all these owners and Roger Goodell as well, it could for sure shake some you know what up, because it's one thing for it to be accusations from players or, you know, people that have dealt with them, personnel, et cetera, et cetera. It's another thing if someone from the fraternity steps out and says, I actually have factual proof, and here it is. Like if they put that on the main screen, it's a completely different ballgame then. But real quick too, before I pass it, I think Jim Irsay is trying to save face in a sense, because I have a disgruntled beef with Jim Irsay, just because I feel like he let Peyton go prematurely. But we'll talk about that at a different day. We don't have to go there.
I agree 100%.
We don't have to go there, but it's if you know, and it's factual. But I definitely think him coming out and speaking out and kind of the energy that he's had towards the situation is definitely him trying to save face, because it's pretty much him saying without saying, he ain't talking about me. I don't know about the rest of y'all. He ain't talking about me. Like, and I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna play friend. If you know what I'm saying, we're gonna play in the sandbox together, because he probably do know some stuff. And whatever he decides to put out, it could get ugly real fast. But yeah, I don't think it changes anything though.
Yeah, and then I will say, not only did he blunder, you know, keeping Peyton Manning, but then he drafted, you know, what was supposed to be the next best thing after him.
And now look.
And he didn't even get an O-line the entire time he had. He was like, nah, he'll figure it out. He'll be all right.
To the point where that man said, I would rather retire
than keep playing and be hurt.
Play a second of more football in the Indianapolis Colts uniform. I would rather retire than to have to risk my life behind this O-line that you refuse to give me.
Yeah. But Gonzo, you're our resident Colts fan. What's your thought about Jim Irsay? Like you said earlier, Jim really ain't got no room to talk right now. Like Jim, like you ain't got all the negative history that Washington has, but you ain't exactly got no leg to stand on.
Yeah, I don't know why Jim Irsay's talking about this. The best thing for him is just stay hidden and he's not in the media. Because even when he was talking, he looked like he was messed up on something. It sounded like he was messed up. So like, dude, stay home. Don't talk to the media. But I don't think it's going to change anything, even if they do get rid of Snyder, because like Snyder said, he said the NFL is like a mob, and that's really kind of what it is. You can call it a fraternity, a mob, or whatever, but them guys they're not going to turn on each other. And so I don't see anything changing. It's going to be interesting to see if this dirt comes out. It's going to be interesting to see what Dan Snyder does have on all these owners.
Yeah. Ron, what's your thought? Because obviously we know Washington as a whole has been a black hole organization since basically about the mid to late 90s. It's been a black hole. There's not been a whole lot of success. They haven't done much as far as winning. I think they've won the division like 4, maybe 5 times in the last almost 30 years. You have no playoff wins on top of that. You haven't even sniffed an NFC championship or a Super Bowl since then. You've had a lot of great talent. Obviously, every time we turn around when a new coach gets hired, they somehow, some way have a connection to the 2013, 2012 Washington team, between McConnell, between McVay, Shanahan, all of them. So, kind of the same thing. Does removing Dan really get rid of the problem and just the history that is that organization? Because we've seen them fumble so much. Like I said, y'all know how I feel about this whole name thing. Like, again, I feel Red Wolves should have been the thing, but that's just me personally.
Yeah, I don't like Commanders either.
I love Red Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of good names that they could have went with.
Hey, I say Red Wolves because think about it. You could still keep the burgundy and the gold, but then you could even add like a gray option. You could maybe make sense for this whole like blackout option. You could have a cool logo. You could call your end zone. You could call that the Wolf Den. Anytime they score, you could have like a wolf howl. You could have like that'd be great for like primetime games here in October. Like have a full moon showing. Like there is so much marketing y'all could
Cody
have
put a
done.
lot of thought into this one.
Oh my god, I wanted it so badly.
Tony's been preaching this for quite some time.
Once again, there's somebody else that can do a better job than Snyder.
Like, I'm just saying. Like, I would never work for Washington. They couldn't pay me enough to do that because the minute they were like, all right, we're going to be the commander, and be like, all right, I'm out. I quit. No. No. But, Ron, what's your take, sir?
I don't have a take. I'm disgusted. And when it comes to all these NFL owners, you know our show, Tony. It's just they're like a bunch of Targaryens. Shout out to the House of Dragons, but it's just like y'all are a mess. And it's like they love it. Like actually, Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft throwing blows. Jim Irsay, Gonzo, you guys just have a wild GM.
Ron, I don't know if you could really assault the Targaryens like that. They're more like Larys Strong. Like they see the feet and their like eyes grow real big, so they start taking care of stuff just because they see the feet. Like they're the weird people. They like feet pics and just no can't get on board with that.
So you're saying Jim Irsay is worse?
I would say all of them are that way. To be honest with you, I mean you look at Jerry Jones. Like Jerry Jones sees his own guys. Like God damn you. Ooh, we got you in the 4th round? Ooh, yes, Lord, let me pay you some money. Hold on.
Oh, you couldn't possibly be talking about Dak.
Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm talking about Dak. He's overpaid for so many. Like, as a Dallas fan, you overpaid for Dak. You overpaid for DeMarcus Lawrence. You kind of overpaid for Amari Cooper. That's one. It's like, okay, I can kind of see the amount of money, but he was only there 50% of the time. Like he's healthy, he's there, he just doesn't produce.
Zeke.
You overpaid Zeke, and it's like you refuse to rip the Band-Aid off of Tyron Smith. Like, yes, he's an All-Pro left tackle. He has been great for 12 years. I remember they drafted him in 2010. He was 20 years old. He's 32 now. He's been in the league 12 years, and he's been beaten up and beaten up and beaten. The man hasn't had a full healthy season since like 2015. It's time to move on from the man. Like, yes, he's an all-time great. Never denying that. Deserves to be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Time to move on. It's time to go. And you kept Jason 8-8 Garrett for too damn long. Stop accepting mediocrity. Stop it. And then you hired Wilford Brimley Jr. as the next head coach, and Mike McCarthy.
Tony, you need to be an executive because you just throw like shots and darts and arrows, but you do it in such a
Got a lot of practice. All right, so we'll move on to our last topic, which I'll let Sensei. If you want to talk about last night first before we jump into it, you can.
I'm gonna just sit back.
So I will just hand the floor over to you, ma'am, and you say what you gotta say.
It's depressing, honestly, because I saw this coming. I knew the Lakers were going to lose. Let me just start there because it was Warriors. It was the Warriors opening night ring ceremony. The Warriors are the Warriors. They were going to lose that game. However, what I did not expect was the lack of effort. I'll just keep it there. I really don't have to say much of it. The lack of effort from professional athletes that are paid millions of dollars. Mind-blowing. I think that the Lakers have to find a way to get Russell Westbrook off the team. Because he does not want to be in LA anymore. It's apparent. It's evident. They do not want him in LA anymore. It's evident. It's apparent. Let's not play these games and let's just figure something. Like we're gonna have to. If we gotta dig deep in the pocketbook a little bit, then that's just what we're gonna have to do because there's no point of keeping him longer than what we need to. I honestly feel like we should have got rid of him in the offseason. I understand why it was a little difficult to do so, but seeing his effort in the preseason and seeing his effort in that home opening, well, it's not a home opening, but in the opening night, it's a wrap. It's over with. And I don't know what the future holds for him, because at the end of the day, he's still in his mind is MVP Russ. He still feels like he is in OKC Russ. He still feels like he is supposed to be starting and leading a team, and that everybody's supposed to follow his lead and he can do it by himself. The fact of the matter is, that's not the case. It hasn't been the case for some time now. That's the reason he's been on a couple of teams in the last 4 to 5 years. And that's because he can't get out of his own way. He cannot get out of his own way. At the end of the day, Russ is about Russ. He doesn't care about anybody else, the betterment of the team, the development of the team, being a team player. None of that matters to him. Russ is about Russ. And that's just what it is. And I think the Lakers are finally, hopefully, they're starting to understand that, because it's been that way since he got in LA. And he's never recovered, because you have to understand, when you play with a guy like LeBron, you got to buy in. Like, you have to buy into the concept of team. It can't be a solo act. This is the reason why LeBron recruits people, because he realizes it cannot be a solo act. You have to have help. You have to have pieces in play in order to elevate you to the level that you're trying to go. And Russ is he hasn't been that guy since KD left him. He hasn't been. It's just the writing is on the wall. The proof is in the pudding. I don't know what other examples people need to understand. He's just not that guy. Now, I love Russ. I love his effort. I love his tenacity. I love all of those things. But that's not winning a championship. It's not getting you to the playoffs. It's not getting people taking you serious as a franchise or as a team. So, I mean, like I said, I wasn't surprised that they lost. I was surprised at the manner that they lost, but they got to find a way to cut ties, man, or else it's going to be a repeat of last year.
And, the bad part is, Sensei, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I did catch a few highlights of the game. Statistically, Russ wasn't bad. That's the even crazier part, is he still manages to do enough to still screw up. He was 19 points. He had 11 rebounds, and he had 3 assists. He was 58% from field goal percentage, and he was 80% from free throw. And he had the highest 3-point percentage with 1 out of 3. He was 33%. So it's like
insanity.
Like
but
the stats are
crazier? There. They are there, and because he's gonna give you numbers. But what's even crazier is that I saw, because I worked at the Kings Arena, so I saw the preseason game in Sacramento versus the Lakers. Russ had 2 consecutive plays where he stepped out of bounds.
Yes.
Stepped out of bounds. Think about this for a second. A guy who's been playing in the NBA for 14 years steps out of bounds twice. Consecutively, though. Does it once, talks to the ref, then does it again. And I'm sitting there mind blown, because I'm like, what is this? What if we have guys that are intentionally stepping out of bounds? What?
And keep in mind,
what is it?
This is the same guy that would hold the ball in midcourt, the ref would throw him the ball, he'd hold it, and then he would start just walking as he's pointing and holding the ball. It's like, Russ, you're traveling. You can't. Russ, what are you doing? You can't do that.
Literally, and he would look confused. What do you mean? No, Russ. Come on, man. There's has to be, and I've said this since last year, and I think Tony, you can attest to this. Russ's main problem is accountability. He's never been accountable. He's never been made to be accountable. Nobody's ever held his feet to the fire and said, you need to get better. He's never had the LeBron James treatment or the KD treatment. He's just now starting to get it in year 14, which is why it's probably so hard for him to process, because the whole thing was, especially when KD left, was oh, we love Russ, and he stayed, and he's loyal, and he works hard, and he plays hard, and he'll run through a wall, and he'll do all of these things. Cool, wonderful, great, love it. Is it winning you championships though?
Nope.
Is it gonna want the top guys to come play with that?
Nope.
No, it's not. There's a reason why Katie said I cannot do this anymore. I have to go elsewhere. I know people are going to criticize me. I know people are going to call me soft. I know people are going to say that I took the easy way out. But so what? I can't take the hard way no more. And playing with this guy is taking the hard way.
Yeah. But I will say, surprisingly enough, I didn't really expect it. Again, AD kind of had the same thing. He did some stuff. I'm like, AD, what are you doing? Like, stop it. Like play the position you are built to play, sir. You will be so
play
good.
Tall. Can you just play tall? Can you play like a guy who is damn near 7 foot? Can you do that?
Nope.
You're not a guard, sir. Like, I'm sorry, you're not a guard. I know you have guard-like skill set, but you're not a guard, my boy. Like, you're not a guard. You're a very tall man. Please play like it.
Because he played great. Again, stats. He had 27 points. LeBron had 31. And of course, we knew LeBron was still going to be good. Like, we knew that wasn't going to really be a question. He just hold on, Ron. Now, believe me, I ain't the biggest LeBron supporter.
Hey, I'm not going there.
Exactly.
You just said it. A lot of people did not think LeBron would be still good.
Yeah. But he still did great for him last night. Probably the thing that surprised me the most is that Patrick Beverley had 3 points.
Can I rant for a second, please? And I'm so glad that you said that, Tony. Please, I'm so glad you brought. Can I rant for a second?
Oh, by all means, man.
Who told Patrick, whatever his middle name is, Beverly, that he can just start doing ISOs? What part of the offense did somebody say, you know what? We're going to have Patrick Beverly on an ISO and we're going to let him take the shot. Sir. And this is not the first time that he's done that. He did that all preseason also in as well. And this is why I bring this up because, again, I was at the game when they played in Sacramento. There was about 5 or 6 times that man came down and ISO'd. I said, what are we doing? Have we sank so low that the option in the offense is, hey, let's have Patrick freaking Beverly, go ISO? Since when have we ever known Patrick Beverly to be known for going ISO? This is the same man that at 28 years old told Steph Curry, your reign is over, the next 5 years are mine. Sir, what? How?
Just wait till after Christmas, Sensei. Wait till after Christmas. It'd be different.
I'm sick of it. It blows. I don't know why they brought him to the team in the first place, but the fact that he thinks he's comfortable enough going ISO, listen. Listen, if they need somebody to go ISO for no reason, give me a call. I'm available. Okay, I'll do it. And I guarantee you the result will be better than Patrick Beverly's. I guarantee you it will. I promise you it will.
Oh, you got a tear falling right now.
And to give it
so mad because Patrick Beverly is from Chicago, and I'm from Chicago, and it's like, sir, what? You can't represent us like this. Go ahead, Tony. I'm sorry.
And here's what's even worse. For people that don't know, Patrick Beverly played for almost 25 minutes last night. He only got 3 points. That's because he made one free throw. He made one. I mean, not one 3 point. That's all he made. He made 1 3 point out of 5 attempts. He made one, and that was his 3 points. He said, "I got 1 3 point. I'm good. That's all I had to do."
I swear to God, I saw this man in Sacramento ISO for a 3 ball, and when I tell you it clanked off the rim so hard, I thought they were shooting in there. I thought somebody snuck a burner in the arena. I thought that they were letting shots off because it clanked so hard off the rim. I was so angry. I said, "Is this what it's come to? Like, is this what it's come to? Is LeBron gonna have to go out like Kobe, rest in peace, for the last few years that he was with the Lakers? Is this what it's come to?"
Bron's gonna have to take like what Kobe did, like his last night, dropping like 60. He gonna have to do that like every night or get like real close. He gotta drop at least like 40, 50 every night.
Listen, Bron's hairline is damn near holding by a thread as it is. By the time the midpoint away of the season, it's gonna be right here. Because they're gonna stress my man out so bad, it's gonna be in the middle of his head.
Broncos still gonna have more hair than Patrick Beverly has points.
If I have to suffer another NBA playoffs without LeBron in it, I just may not watch.
Ron, right here, me
If
and
he
you.
goes out in the first round, Sensei, but he has to be in the playoffs. Come on,
You think he can't? Because I mean, you think about the rest of the West. Like again, now obviously,
he led the league in scoring, Tony, last year. It was.
I got you. But again, you got to think about it, the rest of the teams. And again, this is all on paper. I ain't saying that these teams are going to be, you know, the teams to beat. But you have the Clippers on paper got better. Now again, they're the Clippers. They probably going to fail. So you may or may not have to actually worry about that. But still, you have the Clippers that you're going to have to deal with at least in the regular season. You still have the Warriors. You know, the Nuggets, maybe. You have Minnesota you got to deal with. You got that dude out in Memphis. You got Ja you have to deal with. Like, you know, this is, and you still have Utah that you're going to have to deal with. So it's like, this is not going to be an easy road for LeBron and the Lakers to go down. Like,
two more teams, Phoenix and Dallas.
Yeah, Phoenix. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. And heck, New Orleans. Look at New Orleans last year. They were even tricky.
Did you see what they just did to the Brooklyn Nets tonight?
I didn't.
It was one. The score was 130 to 108.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So I mean, that's just in the West. Like, I don't see them really being able to make it.
They would be lucky to get a play-in. If I'll say this. If they are the same team currently constructed, treading towards the playoffs, they'd be lucky to get a play-in. If they can somehow alleviate themselves from Russ and do I think it was the Buddy Hield, maybe Miles Turner deal that was on the table in the summer and didn't really. If they're able to do that, then I can see them being a higher seed because they need shooting bad. So if they can get that deal done, then they can fare a little bit better. But if they keep this same team, they'd be lucky to get a play-in.
I am almost positive they lay in Dame or Bill. Because they have shown how valuable those 27 and 29 first round unprotecteds are. Those are going to be some great picks. Mm-hmm. And they showed it because I would have loved to have seen them with Hield and Turner. If the Wizards and the Blazers keep their star, it would be literally irresponsible, Tony. We know who's the number 1 and number 2 picks going to be in this upcoming draft. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have a future as a franchise, if you're not in this lottery, what are you trying to accomplish? So there's going to be some desperate teams, and the Lakers are desperate. I don't see this Lakers franchise staying the same since after December. I don't think this is the team.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either. They can't afford to have another season like last year.
Yeah.
The Lakers are not used to mediocrity consecutively. Like that's not they'll have a down year here and there, but consecutive down years with the type of talent and type of money that they've spent, that's not something that they're gonna do. So they're going to have to, not even possibly, they're going to have to figure something out because they cannot win with the team that they currently have. That's just the fact.
Yeah, and I have to ask too, because I mean you mentioned Dame and you mentioned Beal as potential trade targets. I kind of look at this from two different sides. Obviously I see the Lakers need it because it's like, okay, we need another star, like we need some type of help. Mm-hmm. But on the Lakers side, what are you going to have to give up to get it? Because you didn't get any and I know I watched in the offseason, they didn't get anybody. Nobody even wanted to entertain getting Russell Westbrook. Or if they did, they said, you guys still have to eat that contract. So, if they do get rid of Russ, they have to eat it. And say they are able to get Dame or Beal, you're going to have to eat that contract on top of it for a dude that may or may not even still be on your roster. And what type of depth are you going to have to get up? If you do have any young guys that could potentially at least keep the franchise afloat, you're going to have to give them up for them. And on the other end or one, on a bottom, yeah, you're the Lakers better, but what are you doing to yourselves? Like, you both have generational star power that is really the only bright side about your team that could potentially attract other free agents to you, do you give that up to the Lakers for really what in return? Like if I'm Washington, like, no, we already did the Russ thing once. No, not doing it. If I'm Portland, I'm like, maybe. Like again, maybe. But again, do you really basically want to be like, man, we're gonna switch our franchise from Dame to Russ and go? Like, ugh.
I don't think Dame is a possibility. I think he's hell bent on staying in Portland. And they just gave Dame a bag. So Dame's not going anywhere. I think that they could possibly flip Beal. That's more possible to me than Dame.
He gets moved first. He gets moved first.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Like I could for surely see Beal being able to flip, you know what I'm saying, and say I'm gonna go somewhere where I can contend, because he know he ain't gonna contend in Washington. Like let's
make it known.
So I mean, but you know that the Lakers could do a buyout for Russ and just, you know, pretty much say whatever team wants him, y'all got access to him pretty much. Because I mean the Wizards aren't gonna, like you said, Tony, they're not gonna take on Russ. Because they had him before and they saw how that worked out. It didn't work out in their favor. But I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't see Dame going anywhere. I can see Beal, but I think that they should hinge their wagon to, which is the most logical and what seems to be the most possible trade for them to pull off, would be the Buddy Hield, Miles Turner trade for Russ and a couple picks. Because even with the Beal situation, like you said, there's still a lot that has gonna have to come with that for them to make that happen. They got to eat the contract. They're gonna have to give up some picks. They're gonna have to probably give up a little bit of their bench. Like that's a lot for one guy, and they gave up a lot for Anthony Davis, and we see how that's panned out so far. So I don't think they want to do that again. So what would make the most sense is go ahead and get Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, trade them for Russ and some picks, maybe get, you know, a couple veteran guys in there. And they, like I said, they can at least contend. Now, they're probably not going to win the championship because the West is just entirely too stacked. But they could at least contend more than than they're contending now.
Yeah.
Everything you just said, real quick, Tony, it depressed me. It sounded like there was no hope. And I do not want to watch another LeBron season with no hope. Yeah.
I don't blame you. And I will say, being a Pacers fan and knowing, because I mean that's been the big thing all off season was, you know, trying to get Russ to the Pacers, because the Pacers would have the cap space to be able to eat Russ's contract, you know, and they have the good talented young players to potentially, you know, trade for in order to, you know, bring LA back to some type of relevancy or even, you know, above mediocrity. But again, kind of the same thing. It's like, to me, the Lakers are just in such a bad spot purely because of Russ, both in the fact of his gameplay, the fact that his contract is bad, and the fact that nobody wants to trade for him. Nobody is willing to give up anything for Russ. Like, the Lakers can even be like, look, you don't even have to give us anything in return, just take it. You know, we'll pay everything. And I still feel like teams will be like, nah, we're good. Like, we really don't want, and that's kind of the sad part, because, you know, prior to him coming on the Lakers, you know, I think part of this was maybe a little bit of the enamoration with Russ, because again, like Sensei said, he'll get you the numbers, you know, triple double pretty much every damn night for the most part. You know, he was able to lead some teams into the playoffs. Now, they didn't go very far, but he was able to lead them there.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, one bad year with the Lakers, you know, and it kind of exposes Russ for what some people would probably say is truly Russ. It's like, no, it's like that's always been Russ. It's just, you know, it's hard when you have pretty much, if you want to call them mega stars, you can. When you have three, you know, super talented, you know, top 100 NBA players in the world, all on one squad, it's hard to try to make all those pieces click together and make it work with, you know, AD, because AD doesn't want to play his true position, which if he did, the Lakers might be a little bit better. You know, LeBron can
tall,
because you know LeBron can still get you points pretty much no matter what, whether it's a forward, whether it's a guard, whichever. Bron can get you the points, and Bron can keep you in the game. if AD can decide whether or not he truly wants to play center, which if he does, like we talked about, he's going to be a lot better. And then if they can do that and then say, okay, Russ, substitute you in for, sub Braun out for you. Like, you go get the points. You go do what you need to do. Like, I feel that could potentially make the balance. But having all three of them out there, it's kind of like, okay, we're just going to put all of our best pieces out there. Just try to make as much points as you can and we'll be good. Like, don't worry about defense. Like, defense doesn't exist. Just let them score and then we score again. And it's funny, LeBron talked about it earlier in an interview about how, they had wide open looks. It's like, okay, yes, you had wide open looks, but what does that say about your team that the other team's like, we're not even worried about you shooting threes. Like, try to shoot all the threes you want. We ain't even worried about whether or not you make it. Like,
Yeah, it says that what he pretty much said at the end of the game in his post game. They don't have any shooters. That's what it says. They don't have any shooters for, like you said, for a team that pretty much dare you to be like, shoot it. Go ahead, shoot a three. Go ahead, go for it. Mm-hmm. Like that pretty much is an indication that they don't respect you as a scoring team, as a shooting team, because they, like I said, they don't have any shooters. And Braun is at his best when you can surround him with guys who do the intangible things that know their role and can perfect that. And then when you surround him with shooters, because he's an exceptional passer, we all know this. He's gonna get guys their shots. He's gonna get you in your spot. He's gonna learn your game to know, okay, I need to pass it this way. I need to pass you in this position. Like, but they don't have any of that, and it shows.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense is ISO ball with a bunch of guys that can't do ISO. You got two guys that are actually good at ISO ball, and then the rest of the guys are trying to be good at ISO ball, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, who's your guys' picks right now? Obviously, it's only one game into the season. There's still a long NBA season to go, so these early games don't super matter at the current moment. But who's your guys' picks to win the East? Who's your guys' pick to win the West?
I got Boston coming out of the East still. I think that they're the best team, the most complete team, the most put together team. I think Philly can make it interesting, but I still think Boston is the better just overall team, especially defensively. Now in the West, I don't know, man. Like it's a toss up between like a good 5 or 6 teams that can come out of the West for real. Like I know everybody's saying Golden State, but I don't think it's gonna be the cakewalk that people think it's gonna be. I think Memphis losing to Golden State and getting another year of experience under their belt is gonna help them. I think Dallas as well. They got enough a couple integral pieces to make make them a better complete team. You still can't count out Phoenix all the way just yet. The Clippers also in as well, being that they have they added some pieces as well. Denver is right there in the running. I mean, like I said, it really could go either way. You obviously got Golden State. You can't count on Golden State. So I mean, I don't know who I got coming out of the West for real. I'm not sure really. But East for sure would be Boston for me.
What about you, Ron? Who you got?
So, despite all your ranting, Sensei, those games last night, Tony, I was shocked. And then I'm like, Ron, why would you be shocked? The last 2 teams that we saw playing in the finals, why wouldn't you think they would be the best? But I'm an extreme Sixers fan, so I thought we were going to take care of the Celtics. I thought LeBron and AD watching that ring ceremony would come out and want to hand the Golden State Warriors some hands like Draymond's. And both squads got washed. And my immediate thoughts after was, wow, Boston Celtics, Golden State Warriors are going to be machines. If who did Boston pick up? Brogdon. If Brogdon stays healthy, we don't got time to read through his stat line, but he balled out. And Boston's biggest weakness has been when Brown and Tatum goes off the court, they fall apart. Mm-hmm. Oh. One of these episodes, we're going to have to talk about the best third man on every team. Mm-hmm. Brogdon is probably in the top 5. He's definitely better than Drew Holiday or Middleton, if healthy, in the East. And I think that's probably the two closest. And the Warriors, Moutier looked great. Wiseman looked like he's finally. They're so deep. They're so deep. I got Celtics and Warriors.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. My definitive favorite is the Warriors, and I say that purely just because off of past accolades, because of the fact that it until somebody truly beats the Warriors are still a team to beat. You still have Steph, you still have Draymond, you still have Clay, they have Jordan Poole now. Like, until you can beat them, that to me the Warriors are still the clear-cut favorite in the West. The East, man, the East is so interesting because to me I know we talked about the West, how there's so many teams, but there's kind of not even really clear-cut favorites, but it's like, okay, I know these 4 teams are like the best, and you could pretty much rank them at any 4. The East is just so open. And, I know a lot of people have the 76ers. I know, Ron, you're a 76ers fan. I know the Celtics are there. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go with not this East champion, but year before last and the NBA champions. I'm going to go with the Bucks. Purely because of experience. You have Giannis. They have a good roster. They're well run. The 76ers, there's one man that causes me not to believe in the 76ers. And that man is James Harden. James Harden makes me immediately not believe in the 76ers. I can't. It's like I've watched this man for the last couple of years. It's like, what are you doing? You try to this man goes to New Orleans like every offseason and has like every po' boy that New Orleans can make, and then come back and is like, I'm gonna play myself in shape. No, bro. You can't be doing that. Ask AD how well that went being in New Orleans and eating po'. Ask Zion how well that goes, because man, Zion could still be killing it if he would just control that diet. And then honestly, regular season, I would trust the Celtics and I would trust Jason Tatum. After last year's playoffs, where he was missing, like he was on the milk carton with Karen Rodgers, I can't trust the Celtics. I just can't. I have to go with the team that has been proven, that has, they were in contention last year. They just ended up getting beat. I'm going to say the Warriors and the Bucks personally.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah, Giannis is the best player in the NBA.
Oh, easily. And at only 27 years old, he still got years to go of potential and rings to acquire. Well, everybody, I think that's it. It was another great show as always. Ron, Sensei, thank you all for joining me. Chris had to dump out a little bit early because he and the sports judge, Jonathan Mathis, are actually on ASAP right now doing their show as well. So go check them out after we go off the air. Appreciate everybody that commented. Please like, share, and subscribe. Always interact with us. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, anything and everything social media. We are on there. Please follow us, subscribe, share with your friends, your family, your step family, especially the redheaded stepchildren. I know, I've been there. But everybody have a good night, and we will see y'all. We will possibly see y'all tomorrow. That's the hope. If not, we will definitely see y'all on Friday. So everybody else have a good night and peace.
Yes.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays.